Hi, good evening, and thank you for joining me this evening. It's been a hard day today because I had to say goodbye to a friend, and she was an elderly woman, full of life, and she died today of morphine poisoning. I think in our country, we are so used to having everything instant gratification, we don't have a lot of patience for anything. And some things in life don't happen instantaneously. And two of the most important things I can think of right now is birth and death. And we're very impatient for birth and sometimes take things into our own hands and rush things, and there can be some bad results to that for mothers and babies. And death. People are very uncomfortable around death, and we want to speed things up. We are taking things right out of God's hands and cheating ourselves in the process. I think a lot of us need to start thinking about death and what we want for the end of our life. And a lot of us, for myself, I definitely do not want to be hooked up to machines and be artificially kept alive. But I also don't want to be killed on morphine. If I have some minor thing that's treatable, I want to be treated. And so I think we need to be very careful in this country when we sign a DNR. Do not resuscitate evidently means something very different to the medical profession. And I know this because I used to work with hospice. And, this goes on all over the country. We have laws against assisted suicide, but all over our country, people are being overdosed to death. And if we're going to do euthanasia, we should just be honest about it and give somebody a shot and put them out of their misery instead of days on end to be drugged with no food or water and think that we're slowly, that's some kind of compassionate way to go. If someone's in pain, I absolutely am all for giving them whatever they need to make them comfortable. But comfort care is an umbrella word for a lot of things that cause a lot of uncomfort for a lot of people. In the last days of someone's life, there's a lot of important spiritual things going on, physical things, mental things, and to be robbed of those last days with someone where the person dying can't express themselves and their loved ones don't know if they're being received. So I think it's something we need to talk about. I have a very dear friend many years ago that was overdosed in one of the care facilities in Chico, one of the major featured homes on Moms Every Day on Channel 12. And my friend was overdosed in that facility by a minimum wage untrained worker and a janitorial staff were on my friend's bed on their knees overdosing her with morphine with a straw. And when I walked into the room, my friend is laying there, but she was in a semi-comatose condition. She couldn't quit doing it. So the two girls, when I came in and asked what the hell is going on in here, they turned and said, "You can't be in here." And they jumped off the bed. And I said, "I want to know what's going on here." And one of the older women walked up to me, put her hand on my shoulder and said, "We're helping her spirit leave her body." And I said, "Oh my God, where is the phone?" And immediately the younger one says, "Oh no, you can't call anybody. You can't tell anybody. We'll be in so much trouble." And I said, "You know what? I can't do anything about that. Where is the phone?" And so as one of them was getting me the phone, the other one goes and gets the owner of the facility, which I figured probably wasn't there. But no, here she was, and she walks into the room totally unsurprised by what she's seeing. My friend is still laying on the bed, semi-comatose. Ah, ah, ah! Terrified look on her face. And the woman doesn't check her blood pressure, doesn't go tend to her whatsoever, is angry with me for being there, and wants to know what I want to do about this. And I said, well, I don't know what's going on here, but if it's a situation where she's had a stroke or something, that's one thing. But I want to know why she's been given this morphine. And she just said if I wanted her to, she'd call an ambulance. And I said, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. So she called the ambulance, asked me to leave the facility. I said I would leave when the ambulance got there to get my friend. And I followed that ambulance to the hospital, where in the glass doors of the ambulance, I saw her come off the table twice and thinking, oh my God, what is going on in there? Well, when I get to the hospital, I find out that the facility didn't tell the ambulance drivers what kind of drugs that she was on. And they obviously saw that she was overdosed, gave her Narcan, which stripped her of all the narcotics out of her body, which she'd been on for a number of years, which plunged her into cardiac arrest from withdrawals. So she suffered a heart attack, gets to the hospital. I finally get to see her. Her blood pressure is 68/43. I asked the doctor what was wrong with her, and he told me that she had had way too much medication and that she was suffering from a severe bladder infection. I went over and helped straighten out her robe. As I pulled it from between her legs, it was soaking wet, and the Depends that she had on probably had a couple of days worth of urine in it. Well, I guess that's why she had a bladder infection. My friend recovered. She recovered, and they put her right back in that care home where she stayed for another year. She lasted, but I wasn't allowed to see her anymore. I snuck in and saw her a few times, and she was so elated to see me. But, you know, we need to really look at some of our laws in this country, and it's dangerous to be vulnerable in this country. And we think people do the right thing, but a lot of life and death decisions are made over $1. And I'll tell you, we really need to find out what's going on and decide what we want as a compassionate society and do something to change what's happening. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.